All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start out by giving all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Marakah Kodash, a double honor to the apostles and elders of great millstone who well. Peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful elect, Bayah, Dawadah, the house of David. All right, so what we got going on here, right? Let's go right into it. All right, so it says Apple introduces digital ID, a new way to create and present an ID in Apple Wallet, right? Digital ID offers a security and private way for users to create an ID in Apple Wallet. Now, this happened today, right? The update was November 12th, 2025, which is today, right? It says wallet using information from the U.S. passport and present their ID with iPhone or Apple Watch. As you can see, it says available today, digital ID is a new way for users to create an ID in Apple Wallet using information from their U.S. passport and present it with the security and privacy of an iPhone or Apple Watch. It says Apple today announced the launch of the digital ID and a new way for users to create an ID in an Apple Wallet using information from the U.S. passport and present it with the security and privacy of iPhone and Apple Watch. At launch, digital ID acceptance will roll out first in the beta at TSA checkpoints at more than 250 airports in the U.S. for in-person identity verification during domestic travel, with additional digital ID acceptance use cases to come in the future. It says digital ID gives more people a way to create and present an ID in Apple Wallet, even if they do not have a real ID. Compliant driver's license or a state ID. Digital ID is not a replacement for a physical passport and cannot be used for international travel or border crossing in lieu of a U.S. passport. It says with the launch of digital ID, we're expected to expand the ways users can store and present their identity, all with the security and privacy built into iPhone and Apple Watch, right? So this is what you got going on, man. All right, this is a part of the whole Agenda 2030. Now, what's really going to come down to it, right, is that mark of the beast, is that chip. This is really what it's mainly all about. See, these are just nothing but steps into going into that mark of the beast, man. All right, as you can see with their Agenda 2030, you see everybody under a tracking database system, man. All right, and then eventually, like I said, it's going to come down to that RFID microchip. All right, which is going to be either planted in your, which they want to plant in your forehead or in your hands, man. Your right hand or in your left hand, either one. Okay, straight up, like the scriptures say, man. And as you can see right here, what I'm reading to you right here is their steps. This is what this thing was all about, man. All right, that whole ASW thing, I think they had knocked down and tuck out with the Google services and all these other things like that. This was nothing but this right here. To bring in this digital ID, nothing but their setup form of AI technocracy, man. All right, you see. 2026 is going to be a hell of a ride, brothers. All right, this is going to be a hell of a ride, man. Hey, but you got to put your faith in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. It's coming down to this. You just gonna have to put your faith in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. You know, Spirit hopped on me to do that video earlier, man. And the just shall live by faith. That's the reason why I did that video. Because of this, we about to come into some serious times where you about to be really tried by your faith, man. All right? And this devil is nudging it out there. Okay? No? You know? So let's continue on. It says, since introducing the ability to add a driver's license or a state ID to an Apple Wallet in 2022, right? It says, we've seen how much users love having their ID right on their devices. You see these devils? All right. It says digital IDs bring the security and convenient option to even more users across the country. It says as they can now add an ID to a wallet using information for their U.S. passport. To launch follows the capability for users to add an eligible driver's license and state ID to Apple Wallet. It says if users do not have a U.S. passport to create their digital ID, they can still add an eligible driver's license to Apple Wallet. It says adding a digital ID to Apple Wallet. It says users can easily create and add a digital ID to Apple Wallet using a U.S. passport. It says, and they start to tapping their Add Plus button at the top of the screen and wallet on their phone and on the selecting driver's license or ID cards. It says they then can select digital ID and follow the on-screen instructions to start and set up the verification process. It says users are then asked to use their iPhone to scan the photo page of their physical passport as part of the process, and they will also be asked to use their iPhone to read the chip embedded on the back of their passport to ensure the data's authenticity, right? It says from there they are asked to take a selfie for verification, and as this is nothing but predictive programming, right? But it's physically happening in front of you. Okay, it's going on, right? So meaning they're getting you comfortable to the next step or phase in their process is taking that physical mark of the beast. All right, you see, put you into a database system, right? Which is a database center, hook you up into an AI technology world first and foremost, like I just showed you, right? With Palantir and many different other things, Gideon and all these things like that, right? Hook you up into, and then especially to hook you up into an AI world, right? Henceforth with the chip and credit social scores, right? CBDCs, okay? You see? Right? So that's what these things are coming down to. Right? It says where we at? It says prompted to complete a series of facial and head movements during the setup process. Upon verification, their digital ID is added to the wallet. Right? As you can see. Alright. Let's read a little bit more. Where we at? Let's read a little bit more. It says using digital ID in Apple Wallet. To present a digital ID in person, users can double-click the side button or home button to access Apple Wallet or select digital ID from there. And they can hold their iPhone or Apple Watch near their identity reader and review the specific information being requested to use Face ID or Touch ID to authenticate. It says in the future, users will be able to present their digital ID or additional select businesses or organizations for identity or age verification in person, in apps, and online. Right? It says presenting digital ID in secure and private way. Like all IDs in Apple Wallet, digital ID takes advantage of the privacy and security features already built into an iPhone and Apple Watch to help protect against tampering and theft. Right? But see, then again, right? See, this is how they do these things, right? Then again, right, you lose that iPhone, right? The next step is taking that chip. Okay? You see, you lose any of these iPhones or all these things like that. The next step is that microchip. Well, first of all, we have you in a database system. Now, the only way we need you to connect is for you to take this here chip. So that way, right? Because that's how the devil's going to sell it. And he's going to sell it in many different ways through his gatekeepers, all right, which is the setup guys in the industry, all right, through his left wing, right wing, which is of the same bird, all right. You see, so these things is gonna go down here, man. Okay. It says an Apple can. It says where we at? It says when users create a digital ID. Oh, Salakia. Oh, I say built in an iPhone and Apple Watch to help protect against tampering with that digital ID is data encrypted, and it says that when users create a digital ID, their passport data is stored on a device. Apple cannot see when or where users present their ID or what data was presented. Biometrics, right? Biometrics, which we always break that down. Metrics meaning the length of, right? Bio meaning the body, so the length and the study of the body, right? Authentication, right? Using Face ID and Touch ID, or ensures that only the owner of the digital ID can present it. It says only the information needed for the transaction is presented, and the users have an opportunity to review or authorize the information being requested with the Face ID or Touch ID before it is shared. Users do not need to unlock or show or hand over the device to present their ID. All right, it says driver's license and state ID in the Apple Wallet today. It says the introduction of digital ID brings users another easy, security, and private way to create, store, and present an ID in Apple Wallet. It says today the ability to add a driver's license or a state ID to Apple Wallet is live in 12 states and Puerto Rico, and in the past 6 months alone, the feature has came to Montana, North Dakota, West Virginia, and launched internationally for the first time in Japan with my number card on iPhone. All right, so let's go into a few scriptures. All right, we're just gonna get a few scriptures, such as Psalms, the 10th chapter. In the 3rd verse, it says, "For the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire, and blessed the covetous whom the Lord abhorreth." Right? All right. He says, let's go down here. It says, his mouth is full of cursing and deceit. Right? His mouth is full of cursing and deceit. Esau, Edom is the man of deceit. All right? Okay? The so-called white man is the man of deceit, all right, and fraud. Okay, under his tongue is mischief. Mischief is what? Mischief is a way. Let's show you what mischief is. All right, mischief. Right? Let's play it.
Strong's H 5999. Amal.
All right, it says the toil, trouble, labor, trouble, mischief, toil, labor, right? Miserable, pain, painful, perverseness, right? Wearisome, wickedness. You see, wickedness, right? It says whether of body or mind, grievousness, right? Iniquity, labor, mischief, and that's what this man is, the son of perdition. All right, the man of wickedness. Okay. All right. So where we at? Verse number 8. It says, "He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages." Right. Okay. These are the elites. The elites, first and foremost, are in places. They're trying to be the hidden ones. Right. They're the ones who are behind the scenes. So they set their puppets up to do their bidding. Right? It says he sitteth in the lurking places of the villages, in the secret places do he murder the innocent. His eyes are privately set against the poor. And that's right, because this what this man is. This man is a devil, and his eyes are privately set against the poor. Right? Now we are physically poor, but we are rich in the spirit and knowledge of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. All right? It says he lieth and waiteth secretly as a lion in his den. Right. As a lion, he waited secretly. Somebody who's laid back, always watching. Right. He lieth and he wait to catch the poor, and he doeth draw the poor when he draweth him into his net. How he gonna draw? And what is the net? A net is a trap. So what is the trap? The biometrics IDs, the first stance of the trap, right? And then the presentation, right? The package, the gift wrap presentation of the RFID microchip, which is the mark of the beast, according to Revelation, the 13th chapter, the 16th verse, all the way down. All right. It says he croucheth and humbled himself, right, that the poor may fall by a strong ones, right, that the poor may fall by a strong ones. Henceforth, what it is with the government shutdown. All right. Okay. There you have it, right there, that the poor may fall by a strong ones, right? Okay. All right. So let me get this here. Let me get this here. Nope, Salakia. Let me get this here in Revelation, right? Because we just going to go right to it, because I didn't want to make this video too long. So we just going to go right to it, right? Revelation 13, right? Let's just start at 15. It says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, right? Hey, he had power to give life into the image of the beast. This devil, right? It says that the image of the beast should both speak, right? So what is it, NATO and the EU? All right? You see? Okay? It says that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many of us as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, those who are high up in the society, low in the society, locked up in the society, not locked up. All right, great meaning high up, right? It says to receive a mark, right? Which the word mark means charagma, means the incision or the charax, right? A brand or a marking or etching. Okay, when you brand somebody, right? That means you're showing that they are your possession. All right? It says in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, right? Buying and selling is transactional. CBDCs, right? Or central bank, central bank currency, right? Is going to be the new form of money. It will be a cashless society. This is what they're doing. Henceforth, starting you off with what you call a biometrics identification, getting you hooked up into a database system. All right, so you will be a AI person in a technocratic world, right? Henceforth, at any time, your chip can be turned off, turned on, and turned off, right? If you don't comply to their rules, right? You see? So it says, say if he that have the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name, right? And that mark is what? The RFID microchip. All right? The name of the beast, okay? Or the number of his name, right? Or the number, which is 666, the number of imperfection. All right? It says, here is wisdom. Let him that haveth understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. All right, hey. So with that, brothers, I want to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Marakah Kodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who well, peace and blessings and citation to the hopeful elect, the Bayaf, Dawadad, the house of David, Shalom, Baba Ball.